My name is Jay Coyle. I am the founder, and as I like to say, the music geek of Music Geek Services. Basically, what Music Geek Services is and what it was born out of was really the need for artists to control and drive their sales and marketing efforts direct to fans. So when I started this about 12 years ago, it was working alongside artists that basically said, okay, we've got all these digital tools that we can use and all these things that we can have access to. What do we do with it? And most of those artists are artists that have come from an older paradigm in the system or the business, and they're looking at how to use direct-to-fan as a tool to really grow their business moving forward. I then morphed a little bit into more of project management and artist management, where I started working with some baby bands that were basically saying, hey, with these new tools, do we need to sign with a label? Do we need to sign with an agent? So I was kind of walking them as a mentor, if you will, through that process too, while empowering them to engage with those tools. I get asked so much about where we sit in the current stage because streaming is so prevalent, and that's the main way that people consume music. So the assumption is, well, that's digital, that's all somewhere else. It's not like an actual physical thing that you do, so therefore, who needs to tour, right? And I always have to remind people that touring is still the number one way that you will get in front of people. The more that artists are being kind of faceless in today's streaming world, I find a lot more opportunities for artists to get creative visually and then carry that over into a live setting. And therefore, I see tons of bands that actually elevate their digital presence or their online presence by old school just getting in the van and touring. To say that touring is important is an understatement. It is, to me, beyond the art itself, it is the second most important thing. I get asked a lot about what should go into someone's press kit when they're trying to attract attention or book a show or for whatever purpose that a press kit would be used for. I try to make sure that the student or the artist, for that matter, understands that really what the bio is going to be your heart of that press kit. And what it needs to accomplish is basically, who are you? But I don't like to suggest it be flowery or be how great you are. It's more what makes you you. As I like to say, you are created a certain way, okay? So your band and your art is gonna be unlike anybody else's because it's you. So try to emulate that in a paragraph or two that really speaks to who you are as an artist. And then if you've had any accolades or had any success thus far, make sure you include that. And then my guide for that is that over time, you might remove a quote or might update with something that you've accomplished so that it constantly can move forward with you in your career. Another thing I like to see in a press kit beyond that bio is some type of touring history that you have, maybe toured with, or here's a tour date that you did, or pardon me, a tour that you had already accomplished. Because I think what's good for somebody looking at your history is that you are seasoned and that you've done something. If you don't have tour dates and you haven't done it, that's fine, don't worry about it, but hopefully that'll add into it. The last component I would always say is some type of image for you. And this doesn't have to be a high-end pro shot in a studio, just a shot that encapsulates who you are, I think, as an artist. And sometimes that could be on stage. It could be your classic kind of like next to a brick wall or something, but something that sets you apart from every other image that's out there. And that's another thing I think over time you can change that out too. Look, hairstyles and clothing may change in your band. Who knows, you might change the members of the band at that time too. And obviously you want to have a current image, but I try to tell my artists to really focus on take 2, 3, 4 dozen pictures. I know that sounds a lot, but take them all and then find that one that really encapsulates who you are. And don't hesitate to use a shot that somebody who you don't even know has taken and they posted to social media. Reach out to that person, ask if it's okay if you use them. Sometimes you might have to pay them a small fee for that use, but make sure you get a picture that you think is quality to represent yourself. When I started my business, one of the things that I was trying to coach people on is this use of social media. Mind you, in 2007, 2008, social media was still around the MySpace era, but still the attitude that I had with those tools and what I was looking to do with them hasn't changed at all. It's become more of an importance for me to educate the artists. And what I mean by that is right now, I'm not so hung up on the actual platforms that you use, meaning if you're an artist and you love Twitter, then use Twitter. If you're an artist and you love Facebook, then stay with Facebook. If you're an artist and you love Snapchat, stay with Snapchat. I'm not a believer that you have to be everywhere. I'm a believer that you have to super serve your fans on whatever platform is of your choice. In a situation that I have with one of the bands that I work with, Sloan, we actually have a tag team. And we have a guy who runs Twitter for us. I run Facebook, and we have another guy that runs Instagram. So we're kind of a three-headed beast who's attacking this. But we all come from the same place of we share the information that we're going to make sure that our fans know about. We also strategize on how to present the information because we don't want to sound overly salesy, and we also want to make sure that we're sharing news stories that are out there. We want to share successes that we've had or other things that are going on maybe in the industry that we want to speak to make it conversational. So my feedback to anybody looking at social media is make sure that the messaging that you do is kind of two-faced. I know that sounds weird, but two-faced in the sense that one face should be your artist face, okay? So it's going to be about you and your art. And the other one is you as a human. Because I think if you can connect with a fan on the human level, on the personal level of who you are as a person, forget that you make music, okay? If you can do that, sometimes you might actually deeply engage with a fan that's just casual, but then they start to really go, I love what this person their views are. I love what they're saying. I want to listen to more. I want to see them live. And I've been able to consult with my clients and grow their deeper connections with their fans, which then allows them to go deeper in more concert ticket sales and more merchandise sales, more streams. And I don't want to be crass and say that's my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is to build community around my artists. And social media still, to me, is so important to do that, but you have to treat it properly. And what I don't like to see, and I see this a lot with clients when I'm first working with them, is I'll go through their social media feeds and look at what they've shared. And a lot of times it's very much just, hey, we're playing this show, or hey, we released a new single, or we shot a new video. And there's no context. So my rule of thumb with everything that we post is, why are we doing this? What is the context in which we're sharing this information? Does that mean we're not going to say, hey, we're playing the show and post a ticket link? Oh, absolutely. But sometimes you don't really need to say much around that. But if that's all you say, then you're missing that other thing that I talked about earlier about having that personal face and being very connected to who these people are as people. But I do think having an overt strategy on a platform of choice is the way to go. Don't spread yourself so thin that you post something on Twitter every 6 months and then post a couple pictures on Instagram. It's like, oh, I forgot Instagram. But if you can divide and conquer amongst your band, I think that's the best avenue to take. It is funny that as old as we are in the industry, and by that stretch, as old as we are in the digital age within marketing, I do think something that gets left as archaic or something that gets thought about as old school is email. I have always been a believer, and I am still a firm believer today, that email is the #1 way that you will transact with your audience. And what I mean by transact, it truly means that you will probably sell a concert ticket, get a stream, you will get a video view, you will actually get a call to action out of somebody at a much higher rate through email. So I don't care at what level you are with your band. If you don't currently have an email list, start an email list today. Email should be treated like gold. I also like to say it is your retirement fund, because if you can over time constantly grow that, constantly figure out how to approach a fan base via email, because it is a different strategy than you would in social media. But just have an overt plan to, we have to gather email addresses, you're going to be able to set yourself up for future successes. Another thing that happens too is a lot of people ask, well, how do I begin an email list? Next time you play a show, it is old school, it is easy. You put a piece of paper at the merch table and you have a sign up for it. And when you're on the stage, somewhere through your set, maybe even after the set, you say, I will be over at the merch table, we will be over at the merch table. Please come by and sign up for our email list. You would be surprised how many bands don't ever make those choices to do that, and they are left behind, meaning you have an opportunity to actually sound like a unique person to say, sign up for an email list. And like I said before, it is the #1 way that I transact in all of the client base that I have. Every single fan base that we work with, the strongest way that I sell vinyl, CDs, which I still sell, concert tickets, merchandise, get people to see views or even comment on things, it's all through email. So please, if you don't have one, start signing up people today.